Is it that you're consciously creating your routines? Or is it that your routines live your life? There's an old saying that we're like habit animals, right? So usually we're building a habit, a routine, and we're sticking with it, but not necessarily consciously. This is true for our sleeping patterns, our eating patterns, our relationship patterns. So we're pattern animals. And I want to invite you to consciously craft, to consciously design your routines. And that sometimes also means to break with routines, to hack routines. I want to give you a couple of examples, very blunt examples, okay? Imagine you're doing weightlifting training. So imagine you're only doing weightlifting training. Then obviously your physical body will not be equilibrated. Maybe you should stretch the body, right? This is like a very blunt example. On the other side, I can definitely say, so I did a lot of ballet dancing, 13 years. And on top of that, I did 7 to 8 years super hardcore Iyengar yoga. But my problems got like worse and worse. So I tried to compensate the problems that I had in my physical body from ballet with yoga. But that did not work. So when I was like quite exactly 25, a physiotherapist told me, you know what? Your body is super overstretched and you're way too skinny. I recommend you stop yoga, you stop stretching for 10 or 20 years and you do heavy weightlifting. And I said, why heavy weightlifting? And he said, because the likelihood that you break your pattern, that you break your routine, that you started with ballet from the age of 7 on, is just to build muscle. I know this might sound awkward, but I, started to go to the gym, and I still do. And I try to combine like heavy weightlifting. I have a yoga practice, mainly consisting like of stretching and tweaking the body. That's one example. Okay, let's take another example. Take an example of, for example, your the way you eat. So I was always heavily dependent on a like very heavy intake of carbohydrates in the morning and at noon and in the evening. And I very consciously experimented with that a couple of times in my life. So I tried a little bit of fasting, then intermittent fasting, then a ketogenic diet, then like a diet high in protein, then a diet like low in protein, then a very strict like raw diet or a strict vegetarian diet, vegan diet, or a paleo diet. So again here, since you're making the experience of living in a human body, right? I strongly recommend every now and then to hack your routine with the way you relate to food. Thirdly, sleeping patterns. I've always been an early bird, and I tried time and again to like break with that pattern and be, for example, productive in the evenings. I was never really successful for it, so I don't know if I can recommend hacking your sleeping routine. But one thing that has definitely changed in the last years is, since I'm a very, very, very early bird person and I never slept during daytime, sometimes if I have very long days, let's say I need to work for a 12-hour day or I have like important meetings with a client in the evening, then I allow myself to do like tiny, short, but deep sleep interruptions. So I usually then like turn my watch on like 15 or maximum 20 minutes. And usually if it's like a late afternoon, I immediately fall asleep. And then I wake up after. So instead of like using more caffeine to like energize my system, I sleep. I was always afraid to do that. And maybe lastly, on a routine that has to do more with the typology. So I'm like super extrovert. So I love stimuli. I love to meet people. I love to do a lot of things. But there was a point in my life where I rarely had even an evening just for myself alone. So I was mainly living in community and then with my close partners. So it really took me a while to integrate a natural, organic, introvert side of myself. And I time and again become like lopsided. And then again, I need to design for more silence, for more quietude. Bottom line, don't have your routines run your life. Consciously design your routines. And time and again, hack your routines. Break with your routines to install new, let's say, more healthy, more integrated patterns for yourself and your